Happy Wednesday, guys, and welcome to the Wolf's Den. Once a week, I'm going to sit down, discuss major talking points in sport over the past week, and give you some golden nuggets and preview of what's to come in the weekend ahead. Looking back on the week, obviously NFL, Texans versus Ravens. This was a big one. The public had flowed heavy into Joe Flacco and the Browns. He's got the experience. He's been there before. You're running with the hot hand. Now, what the books did was very interesting in this situation. What happened was the second game was Chiefs versus Miami. The NFL put it behind a paywall, which means you had to have an account with Paramount to watch the game. So that shifted more public to focus on the Texans versus the Browns, which meant there was even more money. So the sportsbooks saw that as an opportunity. They essentially laid the Browns heavy. They had them at -3.5, dropped it all the way down to -2. As that money flowed in, it all flowed to the Browns because the books were banking on CJ to do what he does. He absolutely dominated. Beautiful young kid. Killed it like he did last year in the college playoff and got them a big win there. Joe Flacco, age catches up with all of us. You can't get away from it. The only one that seems to defy it is LeBron James at this point. But for Flacco, he's definitely no fucking LeBron in terms of athleticism. Moving forward, Chiefs versus Miami. The weather got them in the end. Miami, they don't like the cold weather. They can't deal with it. It reminds me of that cool runnings when they go out to the ice. They can't deal with it at all. I don't like Tua. I think he's super fucking overrated. He's a typical Alabama quarterback. Real prima donna, works in the system, but when shit's not going his way or he doesn't have wide open receivers, he sucks dick. And then he just does what Wilson does when he loses. He just goes, oh well, and walks off. Apparently Wilson did that, in the Super Bowl where he threw the interception on the 1 yard line. He just walked off and goes, oh well. And Marshawn Lynch and Richard Sherman wanted to kill him. They don't speak to him to this day. I hate guys like that. When you're betting on him and Tua just, oh well. I fucking hate it. Jalen Hurts, exactly the same. We'll talk about that. Jalen Hurts, exactly the same. I hate guys like that. So the Chiefs took care of him. Even if it was dry, it wouldn't have mattered. The Chiefs would have beaten that Miami team. I thought the Chiefs would have got more points. They did get into the red zone 6 times, but only got 2 touchdowns. They really just did what needed to be done without taking on too much risk. But I would have expected to see more points, but the Chiefs did it easy. Bills versus the Steelers. The Steelers really didn't need to be there. I don't know how they snuck in. The Bills are getting hotter. They had so many injuries earlier in the year, especially on defense. They had a lot of close losses. Everybody started to ride them off. But Josh Allen is such a beast. He's just country strong. He's so hard to take down. He can run, he can pass. He is a bit of a gunslinger, so he makes errors. But I'd rather that, where a guy's going to take risk and go for the win, than just these little dudes that just do check downs and if they lose, just walk off like nothing ever fucking happened. I'd rather a Josh Allen have my money that he's going for it like a Brady. You're either going to win or lose, but he's going to give it at his all. So they dominated that Steelers game. It wasn't close. Now, Dallas versus Packers, this was huge. Very interesting there. The Packers blew them out from the start. Dallas's biggest issue is Jerry Jones, the owner. He really is like that guy from Django that he has his slaves. Even his son, everybody's scared of him. So when the Dallas gets under pressure, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. They're all scared they're going to lose their job and they don't communicate between each other. So until Jerry Jones dies, that team, and even then if his son's a dick, which he probably is because his dad's been rich his whole life. They're like rich Texan, white dudes. His son's probably a dick too. So that team's going to be fucked forever. I don't like to give hate to Dak Prescott. I remember hearing something on his first rookie year. His mum had passed away when he was younger. He sends her a text message before every single game, even though she's no longer with us. And I just like that kind of character that he has. So I'm never going to hate on him. I think a lot of their issues stems from the ownership. They're talking about bringing in Bill Belichick. I don't know how that'll work because Bill and Jerry will just go, head to head. Jerry will basically have to say, I'll give you the franchise and leave for Bill to be able to succeed. And I don't know whether they can do that when both of them are about 130 and 140 years old, respectively. Moving forward, Philadelphia versus Bucks. This one got me. The Eagles got me again. I went with Jalen Hurts. I thought he could get the job done. The Bucks, it's Baker Mayfield. He's not any good. They are being riding the hot hand. One thing you can normally do in sport is when teams are trending opposite directions. So you saw the Eagles dropping off. They've had a lot of losses recently. You saw the Bucks obviously playing really well over 5 games. But the Eagles were favorites. A lot of the time in that situation, the public goes to the Bucks, so you can take the Eagles and get yourself a good win. It's just the way it works because the books are essentially laying the Bucks in that situation if they make the Eagles a 3-point favorite. even though they're going the opposite directions. It just wasn't to be in this situation. The Eagles was the worst tackling performance I've ever seen in my life. They did not bother tackling at all. That is a character issue. Their angles were terrible. I watched something with Ray Lewis watching it, discussing it with Peyton Manning, and he was just so embarrassed about what he's seeing. Deebo Samuel had said this from the 49ers earlier in the year, and fuck me, were they exposed. Moving forward now to the week ahead, Ravens versus Texans. Everybody is on the Ravens. They are the most bet team for the Super Bowl, most bet team for the conference. Everybody has bet them. I'm still yet to see Lamar do something big with his arm in the later postseason, which is why he doesn't have any substantial wins there. Maybe this is his year. Ravens versus Texans. Penalties. Penalties is a key here. The Texans give away top 3 in penalties, and the Ravens are one of the best. They're a very disciplined team. They force you to make errors and mistakes, which obviously gets you playing from long downs, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, and that's when you get turnovers and issues there. So it's all going to be about ball security for the Texans, getting that going. Now, one key nugget for this game, the Ravens are averaging 12.7 points in the second half, while the Texans allow 11.8 in the second half. Those are both really at the top end, one way or the other. Texans are one of the worst second half defenses in the league. Ravens are one of the best second half offenses in the league. So use that as you will, but keep an eye on the points for Ravens in the second half. Packers versus 49ers. Jordan Love is the man. How do the Packers keep making these incredible quarterbacks? They have been playing fantastic. Now, what is really interesting here, everybody knows how good 49ers defense is, but what they do allow is runs through the middle. They allow a lot of runs through the middle, averaging about 4.3 yards per carry. So you're going to see the Packers really focus on trying to run it up the guts. And then what happens is the 49ers sort of buckle in. That's why the 49ers are 5th defensively for allowing touchdowns to wide receivers. So what will happen is the Packers will come early up the middle, right there, stick it right up there. The 49ers will come in, and then they'll look for guys like Watson on the outside. So if you're looking at touchdowns for the Packers, you're going to be looking at wide receivers as they focus on the rush to establish a big play on the outside. For the 49ers, they are the second best team for scoring on drives. They score on 40% of their drives, whilst the Packers, they concede on 38% of their drives. So you would expect the 49ers to move the ball well, keep clicking over the points, and the Packers will essentially have to run with them going back and forth. We will have an owner play on this one. We'll have a big bet on this game. That'll be the focal point like Detroit Lions was this past weekend. So for the boys on that one, get ready. In terms of Bucks versus Lions, again, this is a very good second half, interesting one. The Bucks average 11.8 points in the second half. Lions allow 13.5. So the Bucks do score a lot of points in the second half. The Lions defensively drop off. But this is like that meme with Spider-Man with the two guys pointing at each other here. Neither team has a secondary. Both teams have quarterbacks that throw the ball. So essentially you're saying, who's going to win? Is it going to be Jared Goff, or is it going to be Baker Mayfield? And there'll be a big one stop from a defense or one particular turnover that costs one team one way or the other. So I'd keep an eye on the second half points with the Bucks, and I'd keep an eye on a turnover. There will be some significant impact that comes from the defense or special teams in this game. And then, of course, the big one, Bills versus Chiefs. Now, this is the first time Patrick Mahomes has had a great defense. He really has his best defense he's ever had. He doesn't have the receivers. These guys couldn't catch fat chicks. They've dropped balls all year. Obviously, no Tyreek Hill. That's the reason why they've had losses, but their defense is impeccable. The Bills riding the hot hand. What you will see in this game is they'll focus on Allen running, because the Chiefs aren't as good against the run as they are against the pass. So you're going to see Allen be a lot more mobile here as the Bills focus on rushing a lot more to establish the passing later to try to stay in the game. Their defense still isn't fully back, so the Chiefs can take advantage of that, but it makes it obviously quite an even sort of gameplay. But I would be focused on that rush for the Bills, because that's the only weakness the Chiefs have on defense. So Allen will be very mobile. Good luck to everybody having a bet, and let's fuck these pigs.